I hate I lost you.
It's now 3 o'clock, and we'll call the Traffic and Parking Commission meeting of February the 13th to order. Appreciate everyone being here. We have some members in the audience. We're glad to have you, and you're certainly welcome to come and visit our commission meetings anytime. And if you'd like to speak, proper time will be heard. I think everyone here, though, is on the consent agenda, which is 4, but so we'll get to that a little bit later. Can I have approval of today's agenda?
I so move.
Motion?
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
Okay. Second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Ayes carry. With one exception, can I have the approval of the minutes? And I think our staff has that to change the name, right? And
I move to approve the minutes as revised.
as amended, okay, and seconded, okay. And all in favor?
Aye.
Say aye. On our consent agenda, we'll vote on this at a single vote, but if there's any item on here that needs to be discussed, or if anyone in the audience would like to discuss this, just let us know and we'll pull this from the consent agenda and discuss it later. If not, we'll have a single vote for to approve. Okay, on the consent agenda, proposal number 2012 M, double lot 2AB, double lot 1, a request to abandon a portion of Elm Hill Pike, easements and utilities to be retained from the intersection of Elm Hill Pike with Murfreesboro Pike eastward approximately 460 feet to a proposed new right-of-way, requested by Dale and Associates, applicant Purity Dairies, and the abutting owner. Resolution 12-02 on the consent agenda is always stop on Ackland Avenue at 20th Avenue South. Authorize no parking anytime on both sides of Craftwood Drive from October Woods Drive to cul-de-sac. And then we have our reports from the parking division and also the engineering division. Does anyone wish to discuss any of these? If not, I ask for a motion.
So move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes approved. You have your wish.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
And
Chairman Ward, just can you do the hand vote for the abandonment?
pardon?
Can you do the hand vote for the abandonment?
Okay. All right. On the abandonment, which is proposal 2012 M. Let's have a hand vote on that. I asked for a voice vote, but we have to have a hand vote since that's the first one there. So all in favor? You've already approved it, but just give me a hand vote. Okay. Okay. You have it. It's unanimous. We're glad to have with us Councilman Bill Pridemore in the Inglewood area. He's visiting today just to see what we do and how we do it. We had a short agenda today, and it's not always this short, but you're invited anytime you wish to come and visit with us. Are there any announcements or so forth? I think Commissioner Moran had something he wanted us to discuss.
One of the things that I wanted to bring before the commission, which affects, I think, Public Works, Police Department. Last Friday, I sat in traffic, and I had to wait 4 turns for a traffic light to turn before I can get through the intersection. And that's not the first time that's happened. couple of weeks ago it happened. I had a passenger with me, and as I finally came through the intersection, I still said to this elderly woman, "You're not supposed to block the traffic intersection." And she looked at me, she had to be in her late 80s, and made a gesture to me. My passenger nearly fell out of the car, and so did I. And it's not funny, it's getting worse and worse along West End Avenue from, say, the Vanderbilt Hotel up there, all the way down to 4th and 5th. It's the same thing on, as I said, on Charlotte and on Church. I have the green light and I'm going in. I don't care if I can't go anyplace. It's my green light. And we need somehow to put up either signs that say, "Do not block intersection," or we need to put up some kind of traffic officers who could probably reduce Metro's budget by half by the fines that could be forthcoming. So I want us to have an opportunity, perhaps, either discuss it, let the department look at it. Maybe there's something we can do, because this is where road rage begins, and it's not very funny. So it's something to put on an agenda for a future time.
Good point. I mean, of course, per code, you're not supposed to enter the intersection until you can clear the intersection. That's easy to say, because a lot of people just do not do that.
Right.
But with that said, we can put up the reminder signage. We can get the police department to take a look at it. And there are some things you can do with signal timing that could help too. And all those things we can take a look at.
I think the worst place is basically where we have, is it by Beaman, Pontiac, Beaman, and Jim Reed across the street, that area there, because there are 4 or 5 roads that come together. So, and all the way down, all the side streets on those 3 main drags.
And what time? What time is all?
It starts about 3 rush hour time, 3 o'clock.
I'll get in touch with West Precinct and make sure that we have some officers out there.
I mean, I would think if we put a police officer out there a few times a week for a few weeks, it might cease. People get the message quick, sometimes like that, if they get a ticket. So, for what it's worth.
Okay.
Chip, I realized that a couple of months ago the mobile vending was deferred for a while for y'all to do some research on it. Can you give us an update on that?
Sure. Yeah, as you know, we deferred it at this level in this body because the regulations we were working on did not satisfy some of the community needs as a whole. And so what we did, we went back to the office, and we're working with some council members right now. We're working with the departments of codes and health and fire and water and public works to implement a streamlined type permitting system, if you will. Because after we started looking at the mobile vending process, although health had their system and codes had their system and maybe even public works had their system, they didn't necessarily communicate. So we're working on a process to where you can have an application online if you're wanting to be a mobile vendor. You can go through the permitting process online with the exception of live inspections that have to take place. And luckily, all these bodies are coming together at the right time to get these food vendors on the streets in a safe way. And we're going to try a few things over the next few months with the vendors, with the business owners, with the police department, with codes, everybody involved, see what works, what doesn't work. And then at the end of all that, when it comes before this body, if it ever does, all our homework's been done, and then you get to see a good set of rules and regulations that you can vote on instead of trying to build it over time. So we're doing all the homework behind the scenes. We're making some progress. Like I said, we're working with some council members. We're developing the language, but right now we're just going to try a few things behind the scenes as far as permitting and see if the food trucks follow the rules we've asked them to follow that aren't necessarily enforceable at this point because we don't have the rules and regulations signed off on. But by summer, maybe late summer, there could be legislation in front of council that uses what we're doing now, the data we collect now, and comes up with an ordinance and maybe some rules and regulations to go before this body that make some sense as a whole and not just for traffic.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Chip, thank you. That was wonderful. And I was thinking of that just this, again, Friday when I happened to see a couple of food trucks around. I wondered what was happening with that process. So thank you for a good report.
Any other comments or recommendations or concerns?
Chip, just from
Commissioner, go ahead.
my perspective, on the issue that I brought up the last time, has anybody had, I know Julie, you had sent me an email and I tried to return your phone call. I think we missed each other, but I just wondered if you all ever had a chance to take a look at that street in Germantown that I mentioned.
We did, and I don't know if we touched on it in much detail, but we take all these requests, and I don't mind talking to you or anyone anytime about taking a request, but then I take that request back and study it. So we had to get data, we had to get traffic volumes, and I'll be honest, I don't have that answer for you right here, right now, but we did enter it in our database, and we probably had to get counts, and that's why I don't have the answer for you right now, but it's being worked on.
Thanks.
Any other comments, recommendations? Legal?
Just read the notice regarding if anybody wants. I know we just had a consent agenda, but if anybody wants to appeal.
You got to read that legal disclaimer.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Thank you for keeping us legal.
If you're not satisfied with a decision made by the Traffic and Parking Commission, you may appeal the decision by filing for a writ of certiorari with the Davidson County Chancery or Circuit Court. Your appeal must be filed within 60 days of the date of the entry of the Commission's decision. We advise that you seek your own independent legal advice to ensure that your appeal is filed in a timely manner and that all procedural requirements have been met. On the consent agenda, items on the consent agenda will be voted on at a single time. No individual public hearing will be held, nor will the Commission debate these items unless a member of the audience or the Commission requests that the item be removed from the consent agenda. And we've already covered that. Okay. Very good. Anything else? Benny, you got any comments on anything we've talked about in the past?
No, sir, I'm good.
Okay, Chip, anything else?
Nope, I think we're okay.
We're setting a record today. Okay. Captain?
I recommend that we close this commission. Adjourn.
We have a motion to adjourn. Have a second?
Second.
Third, fourth.
We are adjourned. We'll see you the next meeting. It'll be on March the 12th. Thanks for being here.
14 minutes.
Yeah, that's awesome.